Hey, sports fans and friends, thanks for tuning in on the Shotgun Sports Network YouTube channel, Facebook, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please smash the like and subscribe buttons and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we post new content. This is episode number 8 of Stampeders Roundup, and my guest this week will be Clay Chisholm from the Argos Fancast. We'll be doing loose analysis of this past week's Stampeders and Argos games, and we'll preview this weekend's game between the Calgary Stampeders and Toronto Argos. But first, let's do the Calgary Sports Update, brought to you by Rampage Coffee Company. All right, folks, let's be honest. Watching 3 downs of Canadian football isn't for the faint of heart. You got to be locked in, dialed, alert, or as my uncle says, jacked up on caffeine and yelling at the TV. This ain't your average cup of gas station sadness. It's bold, rich, and strong enough to make you believe your team can make a comeback, even when they're down 24-3. And because I love you guys so much, I partnered with them. Click the link in the description below and slap in the code STAMPS10 at checkout for 10% off your order. In Calgary Flames news, Brent Dodging Horse is the winner of the annual Riley O'Ree Community Hero Award. The award is given to an individual who, through the sport of hockey, has positively impacted their community, culture, or society. Dodging Horse is the co-founder of the DH Ranch, which has an educational program to promote greater respect, understanding, and appreciation for fellow hockey players, regardless of race, ethnicity, or ability. The program has been taken by nearly 4,000 people since 2019. Tsutina, which has 2 traditional meanings, the beaver people and also many people, uses the spirit of the horse to teach students about Indigenous culture and history, encouraging greater harmony among teammates, classmates, friends, and neighbors. Dodging Horse will receive a $25,000 prize in the form of a donation to be donated to a charity of his choice. Matvei Gridin, the Flames' first-round pick, 28th overall in 2024, is the inaugural recipient of the Sidney Crosby Trophy as the QMJHL's Rookie of the Year. The 19-year-old led all rookies in virtually every offensive category, including goals with 36, assists with 43, points with 79, plus-minus, he was a plus 31, shots on goal 236, game-winning goals 5, power play assists 15, and shorthanded goals 4. He also finished first in team scoring for the Shawnigan Cataracts and 12th overall in the QMJHL. The Calgary Hitmen have acquired 2008-born defenseman Caden Meyer from the Kamloops Blazers in exchange for a 4th-round pick in the 2028 WHL Prospects Draft and a 6th-round pick in 2026. And in a separate transaction with the Swift Current Broncos, the Hitmen acquire a 2nd-round pick in 2026, originally from Penticton, and a 2nd-round pick in 2028 in exchange for forward Noah Kosick. The Calgary Hitmen have signed 2010-born forward Walker Filewich to a WHL scholarship and development agreement. The Calgary Hitmen drafted Filewich 35th overall in the 2025 WHL Prospects Draft. Hailing from St. Albert, the forward finished the 2024-25 season with the St. Albert Sabres under 15 AAA, averaging over 2 points per game. The 6'1" forward put up impressive numbers, notching 45 goals and 40 assists for 85 points in 34 games. The Calgary Cavalry FC beat York United by a score of 2-1 on Sunday. Middle fielder Sergio Camargo scored both goals for the Cavalry. The Cavalry currently sit in 2nd place in the Canadian Premier League with 5 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws. Cavalry's next match is Saturday, June 14th against the Halifax Wanderers. Cavalry defender Callum Montgomery, midfielder Sergio Camargo, and forward Jay Herdman were all named to the Gatorade Team of the Week for Week 10. Montgomery's defensive interventions were critical to Calgary's victory against York United on Sunday. He made a brilliant goal line clearance and 8 clearances overall during another strong defensive display. Playing in a deeper lying midfield position, Camargo scored a brace against York United in a 2-1 victory. He won the ball back 6 times while completing 93.1% of his passes. Herdman played a key role in the Cavalry's 2-1 win over York United, picking up an assist on Sergio Camargo's opener while creating 3 chances. He also put in an outstanding shift defensively, winning 8 of 12 duels. The Canadian Football League season officially kicked off this past weekend, and as usual, the University of Calgary Dinos were well represented in the CFL. 12 former Dinos have earned a roster spot to continue to showcase their talent across Canada, which is most of any Canadian West university. The 61st season of Dinos football will open training camp in August ahead of their regular season opener, August 29th at McMahon Stadium, against the reigning league champion Regina Rams. Sports friends and fans on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified when we go live or post, and like and follow at Stamps Roundup on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. All right, let's get to the latest Calgary Stampeders news. The Calgary Stampeders ran all over the Hamilton Ticats literally on Saturday night. Dedrick Mills had 3 rushing touchdowns, and Vernon Adams Jr. passed for 294 yards as the Stamps beat the Ticats 38-26. Clark Barnes snagged all 4 passes thrown to him for 112 yards receiving. Reggie Bagleton had 5 catches for 58 yards, and Tevin Jones had 4 catches for 48 yards. Markel Lee led the defense with 10 tackles, followed by Derek Moncrief with 6 tackles. Rennie Paradis was a perfect 3-for-3 kicking field goals. Go check out Stampeders.com for more post-game reactions, interviews, stats, and more. Sports fans and friends on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified when we go live or post, and like and follow at Stamps Roundup on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Now let's get to my chat with Clay Chisholm from Argos Fancast. Hey, Clay.
How's it going?
It's going. How are you?
Oh, running around doing all kinds of stuff.
All kinds of yard work.
Yard work, patching holes in drywall.
All kinds of Clay is doing all kinds of jobs today.
Yep.
Well, welcome again to Stampeders Roundup. And this weekend, of course, we are facing off against each other. Well, this coming weekend, not this weekend. So I figured I'd have you on and do a little preview, a little bit of a review of what happened this past weekend. And yeah.
All right, sounds good.
I tell you, now the Stampeders, of course, won 38-26 in a shootout against the Ticats. Argos lost to the Alouettes 28-10. I know nothing about that game, but I'm hoping you can shed some light on what the heck happened to the Argos.
Oh, well, remember when Arbuckle was the next big thing?
Yep.
And then he came out and laid an egg until he came back to the Argos. That was the Arbuckle we got in that first game. He was not great. He was not horrible. He was not as bad as he once was, but he was not the Arbuckle that we saw in the Grey Cup and filling in last year. To top
just
that
quickly,
off,
just quickly looking at a stat line. 20 for 32 for 273, a touchdown and 2 picks. Not terrible.
No, but it's the stats are kind of misleading in this one. Like he made some bad calls, threw into some bad coverages, missed some guys that he should never have missed. Stuff that he wasn't even doing in preseason. And the stats, look at it's okay. Those picks were not great, and he did not look like he was reading the defense that well. for whatever reason. And to top it all off, we're working in basically some brand new running backs. We cut Kadeem Carey. That was a money thing, I think. And him or Kevin Brown is going to show up in Saskatchewan any minute now. But Deontay McMahon he was essentially he had a second, third stringer the last couple of years.
Okay.
He's not as adept to picking up the blitzes and things like that Kadeem Carey could do. And he showed a couple flashes, but other than that, I mean, it was a gong show. It was the third preseason game is really what it was. It was the first time they really put all the ones together, and we've moved a lot of guys around. We've got Sirocco playing center. He wasn't playing at all last year. You've got Ryan Hunter, who started out last year at left guard, moved out to left tackle, and now he's over on the right side at right tackle. He took some penalties that he never should take. And I think it really comes to, there's always going to be penalties on the offensive line. It's just a matter of how they hide it. He hasn't played the right side in a long time. So you've got him, you're doing things that are opposite to what he's normally used to. And then you got a new guy at left guard in Sage Dockstader, who let a couple guys come through. You've got Moore over at the left tackle, and then you had Van Dahl, I believe, was starting at right guard, and so you really only had one guy who was playing the same position he played last year. So it's the offensive line didn't look great. They weren't opening up the holes like they normally would. And in saying that, they still played pretty good, but just not good enough. And
yeah, I'm looking at your rushing here, and Nick Arbuckle led the rushing charge with 3 carries for 17 yards. So
yeah,
definitely needs some improving there, I'm seeing. So Vernon Adams went 19 for 28, 284. So, I mean, he didn't do a whole lot better than Arbuckle. He threw 2 picks. He actually threw 3, but one was called back on a penalty. So he actually threw 3 picks. So Vernon didn't do a whole lot better. So quarterbacks, I'm thinking we may have another shootout again, or it's going to be a tight, low-scoring game. But either way, I don't think one is going to hugely outplay the other. It doesn't look like.
Yeah, and that I think all depends on how quickly they're ready to bring back Chad Kelly. He's been itching to get in there, running practice. He was cleared for the first time really to practice on a limited basis last week. So they had him see him for probably until week 3 or 4. So I'm not banking on him in this game.
Yeah.
But if he's ready to come back and they're comfortable with him, then this is probably a whole different team. Because he reads things a lot quicker than just about any.
Your mic's kind of cutting out there.
Oh, sorry about that.
There we go.
Is that better?
Yep, okay. There we go.
In saying that, when you got Arbuckle coming back in, I would have a little bit of a short leash, or at least put some packages in there for Daggy. Just because I think he's going to give you a little bit of a spark. He reads things quick. He makes quick decisions. he's not going to, I don't think he's going to, beat you, all over the place, but he's going to give the team a little bit of a spark, and hopefully that gets things going.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what your depth was like at quarterback. I didn't know who your backup was at the moment, so.
Yeah, it could be oh shoot, I can't even remember his name now.
Well, now that you mentioned Daggy,
Yeah,
I think Daggy is your backup right now. Yeah.
yeah, Daggy's our short yardage guy, and we've got I believe he was the one who was dressed as the backup last week, so
Mm-hmm.
that's I think what you're going to see. But yeah, if he can do that, then I think our defense has to start making some plays. I mean, Ottawa, I don't think they're that great, and we let them make too many plays on us. You saw guys getting frustrated. Like I saw Winton McManus getting frustrated out there throwing people down, um, and you don't normally see the frustration out of him like that. But it's you know they were playing a lot of zone, and you saw that getting beat a lot in there. Um, and the same thing with them on that was really the first time that all the ones have been playing together with the Argos too, because McManus sat out both games. Judge played maybe a handful of snaps. Benji didn't play any of the preseason. Tavarius McFadden played just a little bit. You've got and then you've got Sluka in there at safety, and this is the first time he's played safety since college. When he came out into the NFL, they flipped him over to a receiver, and that's what everybody thought they were getting when they brought him back in. The Argos had eyes to flip him back over to the other side, and maybe if they need him on offense, he can jump in there as well. But you've got a bunch of new guys trying to gel, and you really haven't had them playing together with the bullets flying. I think you're going to see a little bit of a different, better team coming out on Saturday. But yeah, it was a third preseason game is really what it was, and I think everybody was right to pick Montreal to pick Montreal in that game. It just
It's funny you say that because I'm looking at my pick'em picks here, and I picked Toronto to win that game. So I really thought Toronto was going to come out strong, other than Chad Kelly being missing. So mind you, I also picked the Elks to beat BC, and that wasn't even close. So
well, I can't remember who kind of predicted their season that I saw that I read that they predicted that they were going to have a tough first game, and then from then on they've got them going on like an 8-game win streak or something like that, which makes a lot of sense to me.
the Argos, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they basically picked the first game as the egg that they're going to lay, and that's exactly what they did. Calgary coming in should be Calgary's looking like they've got a little bit more of a jump in their step, which is not always good when you're coming off of a loss like they did. I think they've got a lot of renewed energy with Vernon Adams at quarterback. Even though he didn't put up flashy numbers. He was moving around in there, doing things that they haven't had in a long time or haven't had any consistency with in a long time, and that's scary. That's really scary coming into BMO Field.
He definitely marched them down the field, that's for sure. I mean, Dedrick Mills, 17 carries for 94 yards, 3 touchdowns. Adams had a 3 carries for 33. Antwi with 9 carries for 30. And then PJ Walker, our short yard quarterback right now, 2 carries, 1 yard. It says 1 yard, but I find that hard to believe on 2 carries. He scored a touchdown. No, I guess it was just 1 yard. Okay. So it's fair to say the rushing game is going to be heavily in the Stampeders' favor.
Yeah, well, based on what the Argos showed last week, absolutely. But you also got to, look at you've got Deontay McMahon who can turn on those jets. He's a backup returner, right? He's got speed to burn, and if he can make that first cut, he can make a lot of people miss. The Chop Williams that we've got in there, he's a hard runner, and he's a little bowling ball is what he is. He's to pull out a term from a long time ago, back in the Ottawa Rough Rider days. He's like Josh Ronick. He's a little ball of hate, and and if you let him go a little bit, then it's going to open up a lot of that short passing game that they do, and you're going to see a lot more of Mitel. You're going to see a lot more of Ungerer catching those balls too. And then if they can get that going, then you're going to see a few more deep balls to Coxie, and then we're going to be rolling, right? But that all said, we've got to get that all running together.
Yeah, like I'm looking at the receiving numbers. Coxie, 10 targets, 5 receptions for 99 yards. Unger, 4 receptions for 82. Calgary's top receivers, Clark Barnes, 4 catches for 112. And Bagleton, 5 for 58. So, I mean, Calgary spread the ball. Vernon spread the ball out a lot more because a lot of the we got Tevin Jones, 48 yards, Mills, 30 yards, Philpott, 21 yards. So Vernon spreads the ball out a little more, it looks like. So receiving is going to be something. And with both quarterbacks pretty even, I think it's going to be, it's going to come down to rushing in the defense, I think.
Mm-hmm. And then that's where the line play is going to come in too. Hopefully our guys have figured it out, and they can start pushing some people around like they normally do. And then on the opposite side, we've got 4 new starters on the defensive line. Derek Pear started a couple of games last year, and he looked like a man possessed in the first half, and then just kind of disappeared in the second half. We need more of that out of him. He's got to be that leader. Otherwise, you guys are going to run all over us.
Yeah, defense is going to be interesting for both of us, I think, because Calgary's got some new guys too on the defense. So it's definitely going to be an interesting game on defense. Offense, I think offensive lines are pretty similar. I think guys are still getting used to real game reps rather than preseason reps, and things will come together.
Yeah, and like we've had one game, so it's really hard to get a good judge on where these guys are, because really you have to use those 2 preseason games to see what you got with your young guys, or your new guys. And first game did really like a third preseason game. Hopefully they come out to play, because if they don't, it's going to be ugly at BMO Field.
Now, you mentioned that not a lot of your starters played in the preseason. Is that odd, or is that something that happened last year as well?
Last year, I think that did happen as well last year. The you're going to get that with teams that get rated. And with the Argos winning 2 of the last 3 Grey Cups, and the one year they didn't win the Grey Cup, they went 16-2. So you've got a lot of good players on our team that, you know, people have rated. You know, Edmonton took 75 of our defensive linemen. You know, you know, you guys got our other one. Um, you know, it's you need to really figure out what you got, and you know, you can only do so much in drills and scrimmages. You need those preseason games to figure out what you got and who you got, and who works with what you got right now. And that's really what the Argos have had to do the last couple seasons, because they, you know, when you win or you have the best record in the league, everybody's going to look at your players and go, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. And then you got guys that are ready for a nice pay raise. Um, like, you know, we've got 2 of, I think, the top 4, or we've got the top paid linebacker in the league, and I think Cameron Judge is, you know, in the top 5 as well. So, you know, that money's got to come from somewhere, right? And that's when you get guys like, you know, when Darius Pickett left for Ottawa last year, um, the Argos really didn't want to offer him anything because they couldn't match what anybody else was going to offer him. And then you get the same thing with Serezna and Robbie Smith, you know, top paid defensive lineman in the league this year with Edmonton. Not 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 an Argo anymore because we couldn't pay that, right? And you know, all the more power to him. You know, Royce Mechie got a nice pay increase, also going to Edmonton as well. So, you know, it's you can't really help that, right? It's going to happen, and you just got to turn around and figure out what you got. And that's why you need those 2 preseason games, and that's why the Argos have tended to look a little slow in the first game of the season the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Now I'm gonna get you. It's prediction time. What are you thinking? Let's predict the weekend game here. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm obviously going to say the Argos are going to win. I'm I think just based on what I saw from Calgary this weekend, they've got a lot more energy than they had last year, and I think that's going to carry over. So I think this is going to be it's going to be a tight game. It's going to go back and forth. Um, I'm going to say 34-29 Toronto.
All right, I'm going to say 37-23 for Calgary.
Oh, we're not friends anymore now.
You didn't think I was going to pick Toronto, did you?
Yeah, but we didn't. You didn't need to blow us out like that.
I'm just basing that on what I saw this weekend from Calgary, not necessarily what came from Toronto, because I think Toronto is going to improve. I think you're right, but I don't think they're not gonna improve that much.
Well, they better.
Yeah.
It's going to be the banner raising. They're going to be giving out replica rings for the first 10,000 fans at BMO Field.
Oh.
And so we're going to be getting our Grey Cup rings. The Argos, I believe, have a ceremony today to get their actual rings. So we should be seeing. Well, I think we should be seeing what those look like coming out on social media probably sometime tonight.
Okay.
Usually usually happens. They usually do a barbecue in the evening somewhere. So that's I believe it's happening tonight.
Okay, so those will be revealed long before this episode. This episode will air Tuesday, so
yeah. So this is we're recording this on Sunday. So the
yeah.
Sunday night they believe they're going to have them unveiled, and we're going to get our replica rings. I've got 3 replica rings already downstairs in my man cave there. So I'll have another one to add to it, and
Show off.
Tailgate is back. So excited for that one.
Tailgating certainly is one of the highlights of the CFL. Now let's get your way too early Argos season prediction, which I'm sure you've already posted on your episode last week.
Yeah, we haven't really done that yet.
Okay.
Okay, and there's I know there's some people that are going to go every time they're going to go 18-0. Well, I can't do that now, obviously, but I'm going to say 12-6, and they're
Okay.
going to be contending for first in the East.
Okay. Yeah, Ryan Ballantyne was on my show a couple weeks ago, and he said 18-0. He won't accept anything otherwise.
No, he has stayed true to that since he probably even before he was doing podcasts and stuff like this. He's always been the consummate homer, and his team is always going to go perfect every year. Hell, when he plays fantasy, he picks nothing but Stampeders. So it is what it is. I'm a little bit more realistic in that. I think we're going to go, like I said, 12-6, and we're going to be contending for first in the East with Montreal, and Hamilton and Ottawa are probably going to be at 500, sub 500, and trying to hang on so there's not a crossover.
Okay. So obviously you're going to say the Toronto's going to be in the Grey Cup again, I'm assuming.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, that's a given.
So who's going to win that game, Toronto or Calgary?
Toronto has not lost a Grey Cup since 1980. They started their run of Grey Cup wins in 1983. Anytime they've gone to the Grey Cup since then, they have not lost. All we do is win.
I can't wait to break that.
And we've beat Calgary twice. So
you did. Damn it! I was hoping you wouldn't say that.
Oh no, I wasn't there for the one in Ottawa, but I was there for the one in Toronto. Yeah. Yeah, they'll be Calgary because all they do is win Grey Cups. We're going for number 20. Going for number 20. We need one for every finger and every toe now. We're missing one.
All right. Well, I'm going to put links to your socials in the description. Tell people where they can find you online. And Argos Fancast.
They can find me at all kinds of Clay. And they can find the Argos Fancast at Argos Fancast, or anywhere you find your From the Neighborhood podcast. Just search Argos Fancast. I have to get my tagline in. I do with every show. But yeah, Argos Fancast. We're Shotgun Sports Network now, so you can check us out there. Check us out on the YouTube page. And if you want to follow my co-host, you've got Sir Douglas. He's on exclusively on Blue Sky and YouTube. Blue Sky, he's Doug B519, and on YouTube, he's Sir Douglas 1873. And then Will, you've got at Argo Fans or ArgoFans.com. He runs the Argos message board.
I'm surprised you didn't say you can find me at.
No, that's just Doug's introduction.
All right. Always fun to talk to you about the Argos, Clay, and we'll I'm sure be talking down the road here in the season.
All right, sounds good.
Take the rest of the day off, why don't you?
I still got to paint the patches because I had to run out and grab some more paint because I thought I had some leftover paint and I didn't. And then I've got some sliding doors to clean, and then I've got to figure out how much I got a patch of a previous leak that I didn't fully patch. Didn't realize I missed a spot. So
Too
I got to
busy.
go.
Too busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
It always something on the go.
That's right. That's right. The joys of home ownership.
Yep.
All right. Have a good rest of your day, sir.
All right. Take it easy.
That does it for me here at Stampeders Roundup. Big thanks to Clay Chisholm for taking time out of his busy schedule to chat about this week's game. Go check out all the great CFL shows on the Shotgun Sports Network, including Argos Fancast, Rouge, White, and Blue, and the Elks Call. For myself and my friends on the Shotgun Sports Network, have a great night.
Here we go! Ready?